So this video started out being about Viking jewelry, but my research took me elsewhere, as you will soon see. Now, I love shiny things, I'm no better than the next magpie, but another thing that I love is to cite my sources! I'll be using several sources throughout this video, and they will be indicated by a number in the bottom corner of the screen that corresponds to a listing at the end of the video, like this. Now, before we get lost amongst mind-blowing facts and a dazzling array of ancient jewelry, let's take a moment to discuss exactly who the Vikings were. The Viking Age lasted from about 800 to 1100 CE, and they mainly lived in the regions of Europe that are now modern-day Norway, Denmark, and Sweden. The name Viking has been attributed to the 9th century English, who began using it to describe the groups of raiders that hailed from Scandinavia. One particular item of trade that caught the Vikings' attention was silver. Large amounts of the precious metal were being imported to Europe from the Islamic Empire, evidence of which has been found in modern-day Sweden. Now, this study is actually pretty cool. It was led by Dr. Jane Kershaw of Oxford University, and she was able to determine the origins of different artifacts made out of silver found in Viking archaeological sites. Dr. Kershaw took measurements of the trace elements found in the Viking silver and compared it to levels of the same trace elements found in silver of known origin, notably in the regions of Western Europe and the Middle East. The Vikings established what is called a bullion economy, based on the weight of a precious metal as opposed to a value assigned to a coin like a penny or a dime. In this case, silver was the metal of choice. If a Viking wanted to purchase something, they would simply measure out a designated weight of silver to trade. This is where jewelry comes into play. It's a tale as old as time that rich people like to wear their wealth around their necks. However, such an ostentatious display isn't just a method for someone to advertise their social status. In bullion economies, like the ones used by the Vikings, any acquired silver could simply be melted down into a pendant or a brooch. Remember, coin shape didn't matter, and a piece of jewelry is a lot easier to carry around than a sack full of loose change. As stated before, silver was the most common precious metal in Viking Age Scandinavia, which is why we find so much of it at archaeological sites. Items like brooches, armbands, and rings are all common enough that they've become established, recognizable symbols of Viking culture. The most recognizable of these is a type of brooch called a penannular brooch. These are known for their iconic shape, a ring with a pin that pivots around the ring, allowing it to fasten securely. Penannular brooches tended to be less intricate than other pieces of jewelry, as they were meant to hold heavy cloaks and larger swaths of fabric closed around the wearer. While the origins of penannular brooches have yet to be determined, some of the most beautiful and complete pins have been found at Viking archaeological sites. Now, I'd like to discuss a couple of particular artifacts, both of which are housed at the British Museum. The first artifact is an example of an oval brooch, which were commonly worn by women of the time. They would be worn in pairs, and they were used to fasten the straps of overdresses. While it's not easy to see, this particular brooch features animal motifs, which were common in Viking jewelry. The second artifact is known as the Pitney brooch, named for the location where it was found. Not only did the color jump out at me in comparison to the other listed artifacts, but so did the use of negative space in the brooch's design. While this piece also features animalistic shapes, the more delicate vine-like swirls are indicative of later Viking art styles. Interestingly, both of these brooches are made at least partly from a copper alloy instead of the expected silver. While copper isn't a rare find amongst Viking artifacts, the use of specific alloys indicate the possibility of trade over distances longer than previously thought. Specific finds of ingots, or metal bricks, also indicate the development of standard weights and sizes for trading. These brooches also feature similar imagery in their designs. They both feature a gripping beast, a predominant figure in Viking art. The beast itself is an undefined animal, potentially mythological in nature, and is depicted with its paws grasping tightly onto other motifs in the design or even parts of its own body. This image seems to have begun with the Vikings, although not much is known in terms of why it came about or what it even represents. I tried looking into the origins of other motifs, but it seemed those are just as unknown as well. And as promised, here are all my cited sources for this video. Thanks for watching!